Hi, guys. Really quickly, I wanted to share something with you that God dropped into my spirit. I was on here a bit ago and I was talking about the prayers of yesterday, how so often our prayers from yesterday can go unnoticed today because they don't appear in its totality, right? The fullness of what we've been praying for hasn't totally appeared, but how in fact it has manifested. But sometimes we can tend to miss very important aspects of those prayers. And another thing I want us to be mindful of is to not only be mindful of the prayers that God has already answered, but also not to reject the answers to our prayers, the answers that God has provided us. And a lot of times we'll do that. We can reject answers to prayers. Like, it's not that God hasn't answered our prayers in certain ways or certain instances. He, in fact, has answered them, but we are rejecting them, right? Because they don't look like what we think they should look like. So I'll give you an answer. I'll give you an example. God can answer our prayer, and it could come through a person, right? It could come through an answer. God may give a person a word to give to you, and you might reject it because you might say, oh, well, they don't fit the bill of what I think is, the perfect Christian, or, they look like this, or they sound like this, or they come from this type of background, or someone can provide something for you or do something for you, but maybe it's someone that has hurt you in the past. And so you're like, I don't, they did this, and we're living in unforgiveness, right? But God answers prayers all the times, and sometimes we miss them in that way, that we are rejecting the answers, right? We're rejecting the answers because they came through a person, they came through a situation that we don't quite agree with. They don't quite fit the bill, or they don't quite fit the image or the mold that we feel, is okay or is acceptable, right? That is acceptable to us. And so we reject those prayers. So let's be mindful not to reject those prayers, because some of those God is trying to answer, right? Over and over again, he's sending you the answer. He's sending me the answer. But because it's coming in a form that we don't quite appreciate, we'll reject it. And we won't think, oh, that's from God. This is God. This, what? This seems like I was praying about this certain thing, and here's my answer. God is answering me through this person, right? God is answering me through this gift, or God is answering me, right, through this open door. But because it doesn't look like, we think it should look like, or it doesn't come from a place we think it should come from, we reject it. So be mindful of that as well, that God is always answering our prayers. So let's have our eyes open. Let's have our ears open. And let's not always be in a mode where we're just trying to reject, right? Reject because we've been hurt, or things haven't worked out the way they should have worked in the past, because God is always answering our prayers, even today. God bless.